All right, welcome to last week in Media-ocrity, where we give you the best in the worst of the media. I'm your host, Joel Foster, and I know you can't see it, but I'm wearing stiletto heels. That's right, last week was dominated by the news of Hurricane Harvey, the only thing named Harvey more dangerous than Jimmy Stewart's alcohol-induced imaginary bunny friend. He's an enabler, that Harvey. All right, it was a sad week as we endured the heartbreaking photos of people struggling to survive while Houston got buried with a record amount of rain. We could have talked about the causes of the flooding, like the rapid expansion of pavement that kept the rain from being drained, or climate change, which is making the oceans warmer and causing more severe storms. Instead, like Americans, we chose to talk about shoes. To find out what I'm talking about, I'll let it be explained by this Telegraph video featuring an oddly inappropriate ragtime jazz soundtrack. Let's take a look. See, like what they did here, so you can't hear it.
To me, Ainsley.
45 people died. Yeah, so it turns out that Melania wearing stiletto heels became an internet sensation for 5 minutes with a bunch of people tweeting about it. Then they went back to tweeting about Game of Thrones 5 minutes later. But that was just enough time for Fox News to get outraged about the issue. Here's our favorite purveyor of alternative facts and the dumb blonde stereotype, Kellyanne Conway, telling the feminists to back off because for some reason she thought the feminists had something to do with this.
To me, Ainsley, that the left is really very worried that the president is successfully showing leadership and compassion and empathy and resolve and action, coordinating with state, local, and federal officials, but also showing the people of Texas and Louisiana that we as Americans stand with our brothers and sisters there. But it was predictable. By the way, she didn't wear those shoes down in Texas. She wore them onto the plane. And by the way, she can wear whatever she wants. This is what cracks me up about the feminist. I'm a free thinker. I'm an independent. Nobody tells me what to do. They get upset if somebody says you're wearing a pretty dress or calls you honey. But they have judgment end on end. And the thing about the First Lady that everyone should know is everyone looks at her and immediately sees, quite correctly, elegance, beauty, class. But they should also know she speaks 5 languages. She's brilliant. She's incredibly savvy.
It's not crazy. You know what? She's right. Melania is savvy. She invested in a marriage to Donald Trump and she got the White House out of the deal. That's what you call smart. Forget a house. To divorce, Trump is going to have to give her at least weekends on Air Force One. Not bad. And Kellyanne, if you're going to criticize someone for being judgmental, you might not want to blindly judge a whole group of people. Where did it even come from? Did the feminists form an alliance to attack Melania's shoes? But she does have a point, that we're spending too much time on the shoes. Of course, she made that point by spending more time on the shoes, but we'll get to that. And Kellyanne wasn't the only one hot and bothered about the First Lady's footwear. Let's check in with Tucker Carlson.
Socks?
No, Morris.
Money's gotta be the shoes. Shoes. You sure it's not the shoes?
With so much going on in Houston and the world, you'd think maybe the press would have more to worry about than what the First Lady wears. But no. After Melania Trump was spotted boarding Air Force One in a pair of high heels, many outlets and pundits decided those heels were proof that the First Lady is a modern-day Marie Antoinette. The Daily Beast said Melania Trump heads to Houston, hurricane zone in sky-high stilettos. Writer Maria Del Russo dubbed her, quote, flood watch Barbie, and added, quote, this outfit literally screams I'm an out-of-touch elitist, and what is a hurricane? The New York Times tried philosophically to ask the question, when is a shoe not just a shoe? Whether the headlines caused it or not, by the time she landed, Melania Trump had changed into sneakers. She was not seen eating cake. Tammy Bruce is a radio show host, and she joins us tonight. So I'm reading these, Tammy. I'm not much of a huge feminist or anything, but I bet you Maria Della Russo is.
Yeah.
And yet here she is judging a woman on her footwear. That sounds like the war on women to me. I mean, what do I know as a man? You take it away.
Look, clearly a lot of sexism going on there. But you know what it's really based in? They're harpies. They're jealous and they're envious.
No, it's because they're jealous. Are they jealous that she has to lie in bed with a hate-filled dumpster fire? I don't think that's a game anyone wants to win. I'm kidding. She doesn't sleep in the same bed as her husband. You know, middle-aged rich white men like Tucker Carlson telling feminists what they can or can't do as feminists is kind of the reason why feminism exists in the first place, right? Even if feminists were primarily the people commenting on the shoes, which they weren't, who's to say that feminists can't criticize shoes? And again, it had nothing to do with the style or look of the shoes. It's the bigger point that the president and first lady are out of touch with Americans. That was the issue. Probably wasn't the best instance of them being out of touch. No, that would have to be this picture, which looks like a Victoria's Secret ad mixed with a Middle East dictator's Christmas photo. And this bled into the world of YouTube political vloggers, who in another time were simply called peeping toms. That included a vlogger named The Brad Rules, who always seems like he's about 5 seconds from a major stroke. Let's have a sample of what the Brad Rules look like.
Stop it! It's enough already. I've had enough. So we all know that I was happy. Donald Trump is elected president. I'm still happy. I'm on cloud 9. But these protesters... But the media has chosen, out of all the that's going on over there, this is a time when their battle with Trump should really stop. But they're instead going after Melania Trump leaving the White House to go to Corpus Christi, Texas yesterday, and they were talking about her fucking high-heeled shoes. But everybody else, the libtards out there, and the people that are easy to sway, the ignorant, the gullible masses, those people are going to get swayed by that. I'm sorry, I just can't ignore the mainstream media. I'm sorry, he's racist. The majority of Texas is not white. You cards.
Black Lives Matter and Antifa aren't watching his videos. This guy goes on, seriously, for 9 minutes railing about the media spending too much time on Melania Trump. In effect, he spent twice as much time talking about a thing he says the media took too much time to talk about. So do you see what happened here? By criticizing a thing they didn't like, Fox News made it more popular. Besides the hurricane, in this week alone, the Trump administration allowed local law enforcement to begin using military equipment again. Dozens more civilians were killed in Afghanistan. North Korea fired a missile over Japan. The FDA approved the first cell-based cancer therapy. Plus, the Cash Me Outside girl released a new single. So the point is that a lot of things happened last week. But because of Fox News, people are obsessed with stiletto high heels like they were a stripper named Ivory. Speaking of Ivory, here's nationally syndicated radio host Laura Ingraham, who's also editor-in-chief of LifeZet, a website that hosts front-page breaking news like Wayne Newton's greatest career achievement. The public needs to know. Here's Laura talking about, you guessed it, the shoes.
Well, I think it's a sign of how desperate the left is. It's a sign of how absolutely unhinged they are. And I love how they're always for individual expression in your sexuality, expression in your views on abortion, your expression on a whole bunch of things. But now you can't express yourself in the way you dress. I mean, they're for dressing in all manner of crazy fashion choices. You know Trump is doing a good job in coordinating when the best that they have is Melania's shoes. Okay, that's all I'll say about that.
I mean, here's my prediction. This is going to boomerang back so hard and hit them so hard they won't know what has happened.
Funny you mentioned the boomerang effect there, Sean. Her point is that Trump must be doing a good job if all the media can focus on are fashion choices. Because here's Republican Congressman Peter King, Obama nemesis and Trump supporter, telling us what really grinded his gears in 2014.
Today, you were criticizing what President Obama said yesterday. Admittedly, many Democrats feel he was inartful in his phrasing yesterday about not having a strategy ready for Syria. You also, though, criticized the president's wardrobe, his choice of suit, of a light-colored suit. Do you think that was fair to do that?
This morning we found because it was in the context of the president coming out. The world and the country have been waiting for a week for what he's going to say about Syria, what he's going to say about ISIS. And he comes out, yes, with this new suit on. But what bothered me was he began by not even talking about Syria. He said he wanted to talk about the issue that most Americans are concerned about, and that's the fact that the economic numbers for the second quarter had been adjusted. And to me, that was an insult to the memory of Jim Foley was killed.
Why did you take issue with the suit?
Because you know the image makers in the White House. Here's a president coming out at such a serious moment where he should be addressing the country on such a serious matter, and he looked like he was on his way to a party at the Hamptons.
Now, you probably...
So Obama must have been doing such a good job if the only thing people can talk about is a taupe suit, right? They did the same thing. Look at right-wing YouTube at the time in 2014, which looks a lot like modern-day right-wing YouTube, except with less flags and less sunglasses. Yeah, let's take a look.
Now, you probably heard this soundbite before, but this is the president, and he delivered this in a tan suit yesterday. You probably saw pictures of the tan suit. A lot of buzz about that. The White House out there defending it today. But I'll tell you my reaction to it. My reaction to it is that this is a guy that does not take the responsibilities of the office of the presidency seriously. He doesn't take it seriously. I mean, he's talking here about ISIS. He's talking about a guy that's cutting the heads off of American citizens, and he shows up like he just stepped out of a GQ catalog.
Before the shoes, there was the suit. I mean, who wears taupe? Seriously. I forgot the taupe was even a color. To be honest, my only frame of reference for taupe is the movie National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon, which I've seen more times than should be legally allowed. Here you go.
Namaste. Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any of these in taupe?
No taupe, beef jerky.
And you call this a convenience store?
I don't know. All right, enough about the taupe. So Melania can wear whatever she wants, and I think most people would agree, right? And probably the best defense of Melania came from the most unlikely of places.
I don't know why anyone should care what anyone wears when they're on their way to help people. And I know some people are like, Trevor, it's not about that. It's about sensitivity. You don't wear things like that to a disaster zone, and I understand that. But in Melania's defense, she lives in a permanent disaster zone, and that's what she always wears.
All right, so did we make a too big of a deal of Melania? Of course, it's stupid and brainless. But this should have gone away within a half hour. And when you search for Melania's shoes, you come up with more articles condemning the media for talking about the shoes from the media, like the Amazon lobbying tool Washington Post, who revealed that Melania actually changed into sneakers and that Melania only wore the heels for the plane ride. Why anyone would wear heels on a flight is another mystery, as I'm more used to wearing slippers and a sleeveless half shirt, but that's another issue. The media made it a big deal by making it a big deal. It was started by a few tweets from D-list celebrities and some regular people. The only reason I even heard about the Melania thing right now is because Fox News decided to make a big deal of it. The news becomes like an echo chamber, spending more time on the things they don't like rather than covering news. And this happens on both sides. That's just how decentralized news can become. and just anybody can make a claim or a joke or an observation on Twitter, and it becomes news as long as the media runs with the story. So my advice to Fox and CNN and anybody in between, if something innocuous happens, like say people start criticizing what the president or the first lady is wearing, ignore it. It will go away in 5 minutes. It's the internet. We'll find a cat video to watch and forget about the whole thing. By continuing to cover things like this, you're only making them stronger. So live by these 3 simple words. Just ignore it. All right, that's all the time I've got for this week. Next week I will be on This Week, I swear. And have a great weekend. Stay dry, stay cool, stay creative. See you later.